Listen to me, you've been showing up for everybody. You've been grinding when no one's watching. You've been pouring your heart, your time, your energy into people, into work, into life. And let me tell you something, you're doing way more than they see, way more than they give you credit for. But this ain't about the credit, this is about the calling. You show up tired, you show up broken, you show up carrying pain, stress, and pressure, but still, you show up because that's who you are. You're the one people lean on, but who do you lean on? You lift everybody, but who lifts you? Let me say this loud and clear. Just because they don't say thank you doesn't mean you're not valuable. Just because they don't clap for you doesn't mean your impact isn't real. So don't quit, don't shrink. Don't let the weight make you forget your worth. You're doing much for others. And one day, the world's gonna see what you've built in the dark. Just because they don't say thank you doesn't mean you're not valuable. This is where most people go wrong. They think recognition equals worth. They think if people clap for them, then they're finally enough. But that's not how greatness works. Greatness is forged in silence. It's built in the shadows. It's proven when there's no spotlight, no applause, and no appreciation. The truth is, some of the most powerful people in the world, the ones who shape lives, who carry others, who pour themselves into everything they do, rarely get told how much they matter. But that doesn't make their effort any less. It doesn't make their love, their dedication, their discipline any smaller. It makes it more sacred because they didn't do it for credit. They did it because it was right. You see, the world has gotten loud with likes and attention. But the real ones grind without needing a pat on the back. You wake up early, you stay up late. You answer the calls, you put out the fires. You sacrifice your own comfort so that others can feel safe, so they can thrive. And maybe nobody says thank you. Maybe they even forget your name. But you're still out here doing what needs to be done. You're the glue. You're the backbone. You're the reason things don't fall apart. And if nobody tells you that, you still know it in your bones. Because deep down, you know you're not ordinary. You're not just clocking in and out of life. You're investing in people. You're building a legacy. But I know it gets heavy. I know you wonder sometimes, does anyone see me? Does anyone even care? And that voice, that doubt, it creeps in when you're tired, when you've given everything and there's nothing left. But here's the truth. Just because they don't say thank you doesn't mean you're not needed. Some people don't know how to say thank you. Some people are so used to you being strong, they forgot you could break. Some people only notice the tree when it falls, but you've been standing tall for years, sheltering them, giving them shade, bearing fruit. And one day, they'll realize that everything they leaned on came from you. You've got to remember who you are, not what they say, not what they recognize. Who you are. You are the one who kept going when it was easier to stop. You are the one who picked up the phone, answered the message, gave your time, over and over. And if that goes unseen by others, that doesn't mean it's wasted. Energy given in love is never wasted. Sacrifice made in purpose is never lost. It builds, it compounds, and it comes back. Maybe not from the same people, maybe not in the same season, but it comes back. So stop waiting for thank you. Stop waiting for them to validate what you already know. You are valuable because of who you are, not because of who claps. You are worthy because you show up, not because of who notices. If you're doing it for recognition, you'll burn out. But if you're doing it because it's your mission, you're calling your fire. That will sustain you. That will keep you warm on the cold nights. That will keep you lit when everything feels dark. And one day, someone's gonna walk up to you. Maybe a kid, maybe a stranger, maybe someone you forgot you helped. And they're gonna say, because of you, I didn't give up. And in that moment, all those thankless days will make sense. All those silent sacrifices will feel holy. Because it was never about the noise. It was about the impact. It was about becoming the person who doesn't need a crowd to know they're changing the world. So keep going, keep giving, keep grinding. You may not be noticed, but you are needed. You may not be praised, but you are powerful. You may not be celebrated, but you are chosen. This world has enough people chasing claps. What it needs is people like you, strong, silent, relentless, doing much for others, even when no one sees. You are not forgotten. You are not small. You are not invisible. You are the reason somebody else gets to breathe easier, walk taller, and dream bigger. And for that alone, you matter. Being strong for others is heavy, but that's what warriors do. It's not glamorous. It's not always heroic in the movies and music sense. Sometimes it just means showing up one more time, even when everything in you wants to stay down. It means holding space for someone else's pain while managing your own silently. It means putting others first, not because you're weak, but because your strength has always been the type that gives, not takes. And that's not just a choice. That's a burden, a beautiful one, but a burden nonetheless. There's a weight to being a reliable one. The one everyone comes to when they're falling apart. You know that feeling? You know that feeling, the phone call at midnight, the message that says, I need you. The expectation that you'll be okay even when no one asks if you are. You've been cast as the strong one, and now everyone believes that your strength is infinite. But the truth is, even steel gets tired. Even rocks erode under pressure. But you just keep holding it all together because you've been conditioned to carry, not complain, just carry. And you do it out of love. That's what makes it harder. You don't want to let them down. You don't want to be the reason someone else breaks. So you armor up, you smile, you keep the storm inside. But listen, just because you're strong doesn't mean you're not hurting. Just because you carry a will doesn't mean it's not crushing you sometimes. You got wounds that never bled, scars that no one sees, and yet you rise every day like a champion. Not because you have no pain, but because you've made peace with the pain. You've learned how to move with it. You've learned how to lead with it. But I need you to understand something important. Being strong doesn't mean being invincible. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to break. You are allowed to be human. Strength is not about pretending nothing affects you. Real strength is about being affected deeply and still choosing to show up, still choosing to love, still choosing to give. That's what makes you rare. That's what makes you powerful. You see, warriors are not fearless. They just act despite fear. They're not emotionless. They just don't let emotions rule their actions. And every time you choose to carry someone else's burden without applause, without needing praise, that's warrior level living. Every time you wipe your own tears in silence so you can dry someone else's in the light, you're living proof of what it means to serve with strength. That's not weakness. That's leadership. But hear this tug, you can't carry the world if your knees are buckling. You can't save others if you're drowning. So being strong also means knowing when to pause, when to breathe, when to ask for help. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Warriors don't fight alone. They build tribes. They find people who see their silent pain and say, I got you too. You deserve that. Don't convince yourself that your strength has to come at the cost of your soul. And here's the truth most won't tell you. Some people will never understand the weight you carry. They'll take and never stop to ask how you're doing. They'll assume you're fine because you always are. But you have to stop relying on external validation to affirm your inner worth. You are not strong because others say so. You are strong because you choose love when it would be easier to walk away. You are strong because built your character on doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Being strong for others is heavy, but that's the calling you've accepted. Not because you had to, but because you saw the need and refused to stay silent. That's legacy, that's impact, that's love in action. But don't forget, you matter too. Your needs, your rest, your healing. It all matters. You're not just a supporter. You're a soul, and you deserve to be seen, to be cared for, to be whole. So don't lose yourself in the service of others. Remember, a warrior doesn't just fight. They survive. They live to fight another day. And to do that, they need strength from within and support from around. Build both. Protect both. Because the world doesn't need martyrs. It needs leaders who last. And that's what you are. Not just someone who survives under the weight, but someone who rises with it and becomes unshakable. You can't pour from an empty cup. That's not just a phrase. It's a truth, a law of life that too many people ignore until they break. You've been giving and giving, showing up, staying late, carrying emotional weight, fixing other people's messes, being the solid one when everyone else falls apart. And somewhere along the line, you forgot that you are human too. You have needs, you have limits, you have wounds that need healing. But you kept going. Thinking love meant giving everything, even when it left you with nothing. But let me tell you the truth, burnout isn't noble. It's not brave to brave for everyone else while abandoning yourself. Sacrifice without boundaries isn't love. It's self-destruction. There comes a time when you must step back and ask, when was the last time I checked in on myself? When was the last time I sat down without guilt, breathed without rushing, gave myself grace of pressure instead of prayer? Because if your cup is empty, what are you really giving people? Fragments, leftovers, the hollow version of your best. You can't lead, can't love, can't lift others when you're running on fumes. You've got to stop pretending that running on empty is sustainable. It's dangerous. And the longer you do it, the more it becomes your default. And that's when things start to crumble. Not just you, but everything you've worked so hard to hold together. Think of a car. You wouldn't expect it to drive thousands of miles without refueling, without maintenance. Yet you expect your soul, your mind, your heart to keep going forever without rest, without peace, without nourishment. That's not strength. That's a slow collapse. And deep down, you know it, you feel it. The exhaustion in your bones, the irritability, the sense that something inside you is breaking even though you're still functioning. But functioning isn't thriving. Surviving isn't the goal. You were made for more than just getting by. Refilling your cup doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise. It means you understand that if you want to give your best to others, you got to give something to yourself first. And no, I'm not talking about vacations or spa days. All those help. I'm talking about real soul level nourishment. The kind that comes from solitude, from journaling, from turning your phone off, from setting boundaries, from saying no without guilt, from saying yes to things that give you joy even if they don't serve anyone else. Rest is not selfish, it's sacred. Healing is not indulgence, it's survival. You were not built to be a machine, you were built to be alive, to feel, to grow, to connect, and yes, to rest. So stop apologizing for needing time. Stop hiding your exhaustion behind a smile. Stop fearing that if you step away, everything will fall apart. The truth is, if things collapse because you took care of yourself, they were never stable to begin with. Your well-being is not negotiable. It is essential. And here's the thing, they'll keep taking. As long as you keep giving without pause, without refill, they'll keep expecting. Not because they're cruel, but because they've gotten used to your strength. They assume it's infinite. But you know better. You know what it cost you. So it's time to change that narrative. It's time to prioritize your health, your dreams, your spirit, not as an afterthought, but as a foundation. Start small. 10 minutes of silence. One boundary you enforce. One commitment to rest. One voice inside that says, I matter too. Because the more you pour into yourself, the more powerful, present, and purposeful you'll be for the people who truly need you. And let's be clear, you're not doing this to escape your responsibilities. You're doing this so you can continue fulfilling them with energy, with passion, with clarity. You're doing this so your love doesn't come from obligation, but from overflow. You're doing this so that your strength is sustainable, not a ticking time bomb. People don't need a broken version of you pretending to be whole. They need the real you, filled, grounded, energized. So refill your cup often, without shame, because from that cup flows patience, kindness, vision, hope. And that's the you the world deserves. That's the you deserve. So today, give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, to unplug from everything and plug back into yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, but when your cup overflows, you don't just give, you transform. When you spend your life giving to others, staying strong for them, sacrificing your needs to meet theirs, there's a point where something inside you starts to ache. Not because of weakness, but because of neglect. One of the greatest tragedies in people who dedicate their lives to helping others is that they forget to ask themselves a simple but powerful question. What about me? What about my dreams? What of my healing? What about the life I envisioned before I was pulled into everyone else's storms? This is where identity begins to blur. You start confusing your role with your purpose. You begin to believe that your only value lies in what you can offer others. You become so focused on being who others need you to be, you forget who you really are underneath it all. And then slowly, invisibly, a gap forms between your soul and your actions. You're living for others, but losing yourself. You're not here just to survive for others. You're here to live fully, freely. And part of that means acknowledging that your life has its own direction and you have every right to pursue it. You have dreams that matter, goals that were planted in your heart not by accident, but by purpose. You don't need anyone's permission to chase them. You don't need to explain why your vision matters. It matters because it's yours. So many people delay their purpose in the name of service. They say, I'll do that when things calm down, or once they're okay, I'll focus on me. But life never calms down. There will always be someone who needs you. There will always be another fire to put out, another crisis to respond to. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment to take care of you, that moment may never come. You have to make it. You have to choose yourself even when it's inconvenient. And that doesn't mean abandon others. It means refusing to abandon yourself. It means balancing compassion for others with commitment to yourself. It means saying, I love you and I want to be there, but not at the cost of my mental health, my energy, or my destiny. That's not selfish. That's self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of every meaningful life. Your voice matters, even if it shakes. Your boundaries matter, even if they disappoint people. Your dreams matter, even if they don't fit someone else's expectations. You were not born to shrink into the background so others could shine. You were born to stand tall, to own your light, and to step into the fullness of who you are. Not just for others, but because when you show up for yourself, something powerful happens. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing approval. You start leading your life instead of reacting to it. You begin to attract relationships that respect your worth instead of ones that exploit your strength. You move from obligation to intention, and intention is where transformation begins. You don't need to burn out to prove you're loyal. You don't need to be everything to everyone. What you need is to be true to yourself. Because when you're true to yourself, your energy changes. Your presence changes. People feel it. They respect it. Even if they don't like it at first, they adjust. And if they don't, that's okay. You were never meant to be everyone's solution. You're meant to be you. And here's the deeper truth. When you prioritize your own healing, your own growth, your own path, you inspire others to do the same. You give them permission to be honest, to rest, to reflect. You lead by example, not through martyrdom, but through authenticity. That's real leadership. That's real strength. So ask yourself, what do you want? Not what's expected. Not what's convenient. What lights you up? What makes you feel alive? What have you been silencing in the name of duty? It's time to listen to that voice again. It's time to remember the dreams you buried under layers of responsibility. It's time to pick them up again. Not tomorrow, now. Reclaiming your purpose doesn't mean abandoning people. It means walking with clarity, living with intention, choosing a life that's rooted in alignment, not just obligation. When you do that, you become more than a helper. You become a light. Not one that burns out, but one that burns brighter because it's fueled from within. So don't wait for someone else to give you permission. Don't wait for the world to recognize your worth. You know your heart. You know your pain. You know your passion. Let that be enough. Build a life that reflects who you really are, not just the one that others need from you. Your life is your message. Make sure it tells the truth. You make sure it says, I chose me too. You've given thought. You've carried others when you could barely stand yourself. But now it's your time. Not to run away, not to turn your back on the world, but to return to you, to refill a rise, to remember that within your chest beats a heart that deserves the same grace, care, and devotion you've offered everyone else. This journey, your journey, is not just about survival. It's about awakening. about choosing to stop existing in the shadows of everyone else's needs and stepping into the light of your own truth. Because when you are whole, when you are full, the world doesn't just benefit, it transforms. Your light reaches farther, your impact deepens, your love becomes limitless. So don't shrink. Don't apologize for wanting more, needing space, or choosing yourself. You were never meant to be invisible. You were meant to be unforgettable. And starting today, you don't just survive. You soar, because the world doesn't need a worn-out version of you. It needs the real you, bold, brave, and beautifully unapologetic. Now go, walk your path, light your fire, and never forget, you are not just enough. You are extraordinary.